This is Series 174, live on the air for you. Out of the Park Baseball 21, this is our historical baseball matchup channel. Here with you live again for two new teams that will face off against each other in a best-of-7 series. Glad you're with us, glad you can join us, and glad you're interested in the history of the game. No game like baseball provides the vast history of teams and stories and legends, and we have two new stories to bring to you today. So let's go live to the game engine and let's introduce our two new teams. And we're going to introduce first one of the worst teams actually in baseball history from 2003. It's the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers lost 119 games under Alan Trammell. What a rough year for the Hall of Famer. Of course, the Tigers finished last in the AL Central. They weren't in a complete rebuild and really were not competitive at all in 2003. Some of the names that had to carry the load on this team and endure such a season. You see Dmitri Young there at 29 years old. He hit 29 homers and 85 RBIs while hitting 297. He did strike out 130 times, but Young a little bit of a bright spot. Bobby Higginson at 32, he hit 14 and 52, hit only 235. Alex Sanchez, though 44 bases, he did hit 289 and drove in 22, more of a speed man. Carlos Pena at first base hit 18 homers and 50 RBIs, a good glove for him. A lot of strikeouts, only hit 248 and his 25-year-old season. Brandon Inge struggled behind the plate with only 30 RBIs. You had Eric Munson at third base, Ramon Santiago at 225, and Warren Morris at second base at 272. He drove in 37. Not a huge year for him either. On the bench, Shane Halter got into 114 games. He only hit 217. Kevin Witt also there along with Omar Infante. So, of course, the lineup had a number of issues. A couple of talented players, the likes of Dmitri Young and maybe Bobby Higginson and Carlos Pena, but nothing really to put any fear in any pitchers as far as that's concerned. But the pitching, of course, was the real downfall and disaster of any team that loses so many games. Nate Cornejo, 6-17. He had a 4.67 ERA in his 194 innings. Only struck out 46 batters in almost 200 innings. Not very good at the strikeouts whatsoever. His whip was also up there. Mike Marath, the legend of Marath speaks for itself for anybody who's part of Tiger history. He was 9-21, 573, a very, very rough year for Marath. He allowed 34 long ones. Jeremy Bonderman at 20 years old, 6-19, 556 from him. Adam Bernero, 1-12. Yes, 1-12 with an ERA of 6.08. And Gary Knotts in 18 starts, 3-8. He did his best, but his ERA was also over 6. Looking at the pen, no one really in here to close a game. Not many games to close for that matter. Matt Ronnie, Chris Sperling, Jaime Walker. You'll notice a Francisco Rodney on this team as well at 26 years old with his ERA well over 6. And Steve Avery at 32 years old, also winding it down with a lot of arm trouble. So, needless to say, the pitching just about as bad as it can get, a 5.30 team ERA, and a record that shows the results of that. 43 wins, hard to fathom for a baseball team in the 21st century, but it is so. The Tigers struggling in 2003. So obviously, anybody they're matched up against is going to have a heck of a matchup. So let's take a look and see who they get. It's a much more modern team with some actually great pitching. It is the 2018 New York Mets. They also did not have a winning record, but nowhere near as bad as the Tigers. They were 77-85 under Mickey Callaway, 4th in the East, and their hitting was a little bit suspect. We'll get to the pitching in a moment. Hitting-wise, you can see here Todd Frazier, 18 homers, 59 RBIs, but only hit 213. Michael Conforto, 28-82, but he was down to 243. Austin Jackson in center field, 247, a good defensive player. Jay Bruce at 31, he only played in 94 games and hit 9 home runs at 223. He struggled quite a bit. Asdrubal Cabrera, 277, 18 and 58 for him. Cabrera, a decent player. And Ahmed Rosario had 24 steals, 9 home runs, hit 256. A fan favorite was Rosario. Kevin Plawecki, the catcher, 7 and 30 for him, but couldn't hit much either. And Wilmer Flores, 11 homers, 51 RBIs, 267 for Flores. Cespedes on this team only played in 38 games. He hit 262 with 9 home runs. Brandon Nimmo, 263, struck out 140 times with 17 home runs. And Jose Bautista actually got into 83 games at 37 years old. The outfielder only 204 with 9 home runs. Jose Reyes also on this team, really winding down his career, hit 189 and had a really rough year for Reyes. So looking at the Mets, some issues they're hitting, some issues generating runs because their pitching was pretty good, actually very good. As we go through it, you can see Jacob deGrom, the Cy Young Award winner, 10 and 9, 1.70 ERA in 32 starts. He had a ton of no decisions this year, but still had a heck of a year. He struck out 269 in 217 innings. deGrom, just about as good as it gets. In 2018. Zach Wheeler, 12 and 7 with a 331 in 29 starts. A good year for Wheeler. And Noah Syndergaard, 13 and 4 with a 303 in 25 starts. He also struck out 155 and was doing his thing. Steven Matz getting 30 starts. He was 5 and 11. Jason Vargas and Corey Oswalt also part of some of the starts here. And Jeurys Familia with 17 saves, along with Robert Gelman, who had 13 saves. Familia battled some injuries, but still saved the most and had a nice 2.88 ERA. So the pitching for the Mets, very, very good. When you look at the top three here, deGrom, Wheeler, and Syndergaard, they're going to be really tough to beat in any 7-game series. So the Mets, obviously with the edge pitching-wise, even if their lineup isn't the scariest around. But anyway, you look at it, a very fortunate draw for the 2018 Mets. They get the 43-win Detroit Tigers of 2003, setting up a series you would think the Mets would handle fairly easily. But we've seen big surprises before, and we have to play it out on the field to make sure how it plays out. So the best of 7 will be started with Citi Field hosting the first 2 before we head out to Comerica Park for the middle portion of the series. Can the Tigers make a series of it? That's the big question. We'll see how that goes. And game 1's going to feature Jeremy Bonderman, who's going to go up against the very dominant Jacob deGrom, to see if deGrom can do his thing and get the Mets on track. It'll be a fun, interesting, intriguing series. We'll see if the Mets do what they're supposed to do, or will they underachieve as they sometimes have a tendency to do. So we're ready to go live for you here at Series 174. It's the 2018 Mets against the 2003 Detroit Tigers. Let's head out to Citi Field and see Jacob deGrom take the mound against the Tigers for Game 1. Here we go. Shane Halter up with deGrom on the mound. We got 2 men on. And this ball is drilled into the gap, and that's going to get down. So Halter's going to come through here with a triple that's going to score 2 runs. They actually get him at third base, but a 2-run double for Halter. And just like that, in the very first inning, Jacob deGrom runs into trouble. To the 4th we go. Nino's the hitter against Bonderman. And this one's drilled to center field. So 2 on for the Mets here with only 1 out. They are down 2 runs. And Cabrera the hitter. Cabrera goes deep to left, looking up to the wall. Home run, Cabrera, a 3-run home run to the opposite field. Just what the Mets needed. That puts them up 3-2. A clutch home run here by Asdrubal Cabrera. To the 5th we go. The Tigers answering now. DeGrom facing Carlos Pena with 2 outs. And he gets them swinging. So DeGrom gets out of that jam in a nice way. To the 6th we go. Shane Halter back up there. He did the damage in the very first inning. Here's the pitch from DeGrom. And it's ripped to center field for a base hit to lead off the 6th. And now Hansel Robles has come in to pitch for the Mets. And Bobby Higginson is the hitter. DeGrom's day is over. That one's low for ball 4. So with nobody out, the Tigers have 1st and 2nd here. And Brandon Inge has a chance. Another walk. So the Tigers load the bases against the Mets. Nobody out. They're only down a run. And Ramon Santiago's the hitter. Santiago goes for a bad pitch and strikes out there. So 1 out here for Bonderman, the pitcher, who they keep in the game. And he hits it to third. A playmate at the plate. Relay to first is not in time. Not sure why they didn't pinch hit there. And now it's up to Andres Torres to try to break through here with 2 outs. And he does that. A base hit to center field by Torres. 2 Tigers are going to score. And Detroit takes a 4-3 lead with a 2-out, 2-run RBI by Andres Torres here. Holy cow. Bonderman now pitching to Cabrera with the man on. 2 outs. There's a walk. So the Mets will get 2 on here. Jaime Walker has come in to pitch. He's going to face Conforto. Mets down 1. And there's a line shot over the shortstop's head. 1 run in. So we are tied at 4. Conforto comes through with a big hit here in the 6th. Runners on the corners now for Wilmer Flores. And Flores strikes out. So the game remains tied at 4 as we get to the late innings. Halter now at the plate with the man on. There's a strikeout. So that's the 2nd out here of the 7th. We'll move to the top of the 8th. Brandon Inge facing Seth Lugo in a 4-4 tie. And this one's hit past the third baseman. It'll get down there. So it's going to be extra bases here for Inge. He gets on second with nobody out here in the 8th inning. And Ramon Santiago a chance. He'll hit this one to second. Play made there, but a runner moves to third. So with the man now on the corners and only 1 out, it's Andres Torres, the hitter, against Lugo. Ball 4, so the Tigers will load the bases. And it's going to be Warren Morris at the plate against Lugo with only 1 out. He hits it to right field for a single. That's going to plate 2 runs. 2 big runs for the Tigers. They're going to go up 6-4. Morris, a 2-run single. We move to the 9th now. We got the Tigers up again. Familia's come in to pitch. This one's hit deep to right field, looking up to the wall. Home run. Higginson goes deep to make it 7-4 Tigers. Stunning this New York crowd here at Citi Field. To the bottom of the 9th, Rodney's come into the game. Conforto, the hitter. He'll hit it back to the mound. And he'll beat it. So runner on first now, nobody out for Flores. Flores will line a single to center field. So the Mets are going to bring up the tying run to the plate here in the 9th inning. In the form of Todd Frazier. Let's see what Rodney can do with Frazier. This one's popped up. Should be playable. It is. first out of the 9th inning. Still a 3-run ball game. Kevin Plawecki, the catcher, strikes out swinging. Rodney gets them there, and it's down now to Jay Bruce, who's pinch hitting. And he strikes out. So Rodney closes the door. And yes, sir, the Mets dropped the opening game to the 2003 Tigers, 7-4. The Tigers stunned Jacob deGrom and the Mets in the opener. Bobby Higginson 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Cabrera for the Mets hit a big 3-run home run. Bonderman pitched well for the Tigers. Walker gets the win. Lugo the loss. And Rodney closed the door in the 9th inning. It was the Tigers that broke up a tie ball game and did so in the 8th inning, added another run in the 9th, and held off the Mets to win. So that's why we play the games, folks. It looks like you got a mismatch. Looks like you got a team that cannot win during the regular season. You put them in a 7-game series, and right away they start off on the right foot and beat the ace of the Mets. That's why baseball is so unpredictable and exciting. But let's see where the storyline goes from here. So now Zach Wheeler will take the mound for the Mets against Steve Sparks. The Mets obviously looking to rebound here, and the Tigers thinking of doing the unthinkable and winning again on the road. They got nothing to lose now. We'll see what happens. So after the Game 1 stunner, let's head out to Citi Field again as the Mets try to right the ship in Game 2. Let's go live to the action. Zach Wheeler gets this game started. 63 degrees in New York. And Wheeler strikes out his batter, Andres Torres, to start the game. Runner on first now for Dimitri Young. And Dimitri Young lifts this one over the center fielder's head up against the wall. Runner out heading to third. So runners on second and third here with a 1 out for the Tigers in the first inning. And Carlos Pena has a big chance. Pena will lift this one into the outfield. Catch is made. Runner will hold. So the Tigers fail to score. We'll move to the bottom of the second. Steve Sparks is facing Todd Frazier with 2 men on and 1 out. But there's a strikeout for Sparks. To the fourth we go, still scoreless. Conforto's the hitter. Conforto will go to center field with a single here with a 1 out and a man on. So now there's 2 on. The Mets looking to break through here, and Wilmer Flores will have his chance. And this one's hit to third. Play made at second. That's the only play they'll have. So the Mets will have runners on the corners with 2 outs. And Todd Frazier back up at the plate. But Frazier swings through, and nothing doing for the Mets. We're still scoreless here in the 6th. Cabrera the hitter. Nobody out. And Cabrera goes deep to right with the man on to the wall. But it is caught out there. Higginson gets it. 1 out now for Conforto, a man on first. This ball's drilled into the gap. That'll get down. Let's see if they wave the runner. Runner heading to third. He's going to try to score. And it is the first run of the ball game. Nemo crosses the plate. Conforto with an RBI double, and it's 1-0 Mets. Runners on the corners now for Plawecki. Plawecki will line this one into the gap. That's going to score more Met runs. 1 run in. Another man to third. He's going to try to score. It's a triple for the Mets catcher, and it is 3-0. So New York gets on the board here in the 6th inning. To the 8th we go. It's 4-0 Mets. Todd Frazier up there with a man on second. And this one's drilled deep into the 9 in left field. Frazier to the wall. Goodbye. 6-0. Todd Frazier comes through with one of his signature home runs, and the Mets have opened up game number 2 in a big way. To the ninth, 6-1, 2 outs. Higginson at the plate. Drew Smith delivers the pitch to the second baseman. Cabrera makes the play, and the Mets easily take game 2, rebounding after their stunning game 1 loss to win it 6-1, handcuffing the Tigers for most of this ball game and evening the series at 1. Zach Wheeler, 7 strong innings, 13 strikeouts for Wheeler. Great outing in his win. Conforto broke the scoreless game. He was 2 for 3. And Frazier with a big 2-run home run. That was in the 8th inning. Just to add some insurance for the victorious Mets. Cornejo gets the loss. And after 2 games in New York, it is 1-1. Tied in games. So it becomes now quickly a best-of-5 series. And we'll see what the Tigers can do as they now play at home at Comerica Park. And the Mets will try to keep the momentum going. Noah Syndergaard, Thor, will take the mound for New York against Gary Knotts, who will be the pitcher for the Tigers. Looking at some information, Steve Sparks has been injured. Sparks has a hamstring strain. He will miss about 4 days of action, so he's down for the Tigers and will probably miss his next start. But either way, it is game 3 coming up now. The Mets trying to grab control of this series. Syndergaard taking the mound here. Let's go to the action from Comerica Park in Michigan. It is the Mets and the Tigers ready for action. Ahmed Rosario will lead it off here against Gary Knotts. Comerica Park is filled to capacity. And this one's drilled to left field, and it'll be extra bases for Rosario. To lead off this ball game, he has a double. Second and third now for the Mets. Brandon Nimmo at the plate. There's still nobody out. And this one's hit into left field. It'll get down, so the Mets will get on the board first. 1-0 on the Nimmo single. A quick start for New York. Bottom of the first now. We have the Tigers answering. Here's Dimitri Young with men on the corners, nobody out. And Young will lift this one deep into the night. That goes to the wall. It's going to be caught. Runner will tag, and the Tigers will tie the game up at 1. On the Dimitri Young sacrifice fly to the second inning. 2 outs. Syndergaard facing Inge. And Inge is going to go into the corner into right field with a man on. This might score a run. Runner headed to third. Runner being waved around, and it is 2-1 Tigers after the triple by Brandon Inge. To the third we go. Rosario up against Knotts. This is hit to short. And the Tigers will turn 2 here to get a double play and preserve their 2-1 lead. To the fifth now. Jay Bruce up at the plate. Bruce will hit it down the right field line with nobody out, so it's going to be a double for Jay Bruce as the Mets try to get back into this game. He's on second base for Todd Frazier. Frazier will go deep to right. He got a hold of this one, and another home run for Todd Frazier. His second in as many games. And that puts the Mets right back up here 3-2 in the 5th inning. They take the lead here in Game 3. Frazier with a 2-run homer. Plawecki now at the plate. He's been hot. Plawecki deep to left. That's a line drive. Will it go? Yes, it will. Over the wall. He corked that one. Plawecki makes it now 4-2 Mets. New York turning on the offense. To the 6th we go. Syndergaard still in the game. He's facing Carlos Pena. There's a walk with nobody out here in the 6th inning. 2-run ball game. And Shane Halter at the plate. Halter will go back to Syndergaard, who makes the throw to second, and a double play for the Mets to close down the Tigers here in the 6th. To the 8th we go. Patterson the hitter. The pitcher, and Nemo is the hitter. This one's lifted to right field. That'll get down, so Nemo will make it into second with a 1-out double as the Mets look for some insurance, as well as looking to take a lead in this series. We are tied 1 game apiece. Cabrera at the plate. Patterson delivers. There's a base hit past the diving third baseman. Run around in third. Throw to the plate's going to be late, and the Mets take a 5-2 lead here in the 8th inning. Matt Harvey has come in to help try and close the door in this one. But there's a hit by Pena with a man on and 2 outs. So the Tigers trying to make some noise. They're going to bring the tying run to the plate. Harvey's going to face Shane Halter here. And he gets some swinging. A good fastball by Harvey. He's doing his job. To the 9th we go. Flores the hitter. 5-2 Mets. And Flores deposits that one to left field, so he'll be on base here at second. Familia now, as we move to the bottom of the 9th, has come in, but the Tigers have loaded the bases here with 2 outs. It's a 6-2 game, and Dimitri Young representing the tying run. So a big spot here. Let's see if Familia can close the door. He strikes him out. Strike out there. Familia ends the ball game. He gets Dimitri Young swinging. And the Mets win the 2nd game in a row of this series after dropping game 1. They take this one 6-2 on the road, controlling the Tigers fairly easily. Behind Syndergaard, who gets the win, he struck out 5. Nemo 2 for 3 with a double and a run and an RBI. And Todd Frazier, his 2nd homer in as many games. Frazier and Plawecki both went deep there. And Familia looks to be on track. He's pitching well late in games. He gets the save here. And it was the Mets who controlled it. They got the 3 runs in the 5th inning after falling behind and cruised from there for the win. So the Mets back on track. They've righted the ship and playing well now. They've won 2 in a row, lead the series 2-1. And we move now to game number 4 to see if the Tigers still have fight in them. They played well for most of the series, including taking game 1. But can they recover here and even things out? Game number 4 is going to be a crucial one. Nate Robertson will take the mound for the Tigers against Jason Vargas for the Mets. And game 4 will go a long way in deciding just maybe how long this series will go. So let's take a look and get out to Comerica for the continued action of this best-of-7. It's the Mets and the Tigers in game 4 coming up, with the Mets having the lead now 2-1 as we prepare for game number 4. Matt Robertson now pitching. And there's a bunt that's thrown down. And it's going to be beat. Robinson cannot get off the mound in time. And we got Rosario now on first base with Nemo at the plate. And Nemo's going to drive this one deep into right center. And that's off the wall. So the Mets look like they will get on the board first in game number 4. It is 1-0 after the triple. Nemo with the RBI. To the 4th, 2-0 Mets. Jason Vargas pitching well against Carlos Pena with a man on. This one's hit in front of the mound very, very lightly, so it'll be an infield hit for Pena. So with 1 out, 2 on. Halter the hitter. And Halter goes deep to center field. This one will be caught. A nice catch out there by Nemo. So 2 outs. Bobby Higginson, the hitter, full count. He walks, so Higginson will get on first. Base is loaded. It's a 2-0 game. And Vargas will face Ramon Santiago, the shortstop, again with 2 outs. Ground ball back to the mound. That's going to be a very tough play. Safe at first, and a run's going to score. So the Tigers get on the board on the infield single. 2-1. And Brandon Inge has a chance now to make even more noise. And he will do exactly that. Into the corner. It's a fair ball. Inge comes through. He's going to clear the bases. He has a 3-run double, folks. A huge 2-out hit by Brandon Inge, making it now 4-2. And the Tigers have woken up in a big way. We move to the 5th. Plawecki at the plate. Plawecki will get on base here with a long drive to right field. And actually, it makes it over the wall. I didn't think it had a chance. But Plawecki with a 400-foot home run to the opposite field, making it 4-3. The Mets cut the lead to 1. To the 6th. Drew Smith, the new pitcher for the Mets, and Pena, the hitter. Nobody out. This one's hit hard to center field. Pena get all of it. And that falls over the wall. So Carlos Pena, a solo home run. His first of the series. He takes it way out. And it is 5-3 Detroit. Halter now the hitter. The Tigers aren't done in this inning. Another long drive deep to left field. Another home run for Detroit. 6-3. Halter goes 424 feet. Tigers go back-to-back here in the 6th inning. To the 7th, it is now 7-3. Craig Monroe at the plate. Deep to left field again. A 3rd home run for Detroit. Pouring it on the Mets. 8-3 score. What was a close game is now one-sided here at Comerica. 8-3 to score, and the Tigers still not done. Shane Halter, the hitter. Deep to left field with a man on. Another home run. The Mets pitching collapsing here. 10-3 in favor of the Tigers. Completely pouring it on here in game number 4. 10-3 our score to the 8th. Nemo with a long shot. He'll get another homer. Too little, too late, of course. It is now 10-4. A lot of home runs here at Comerica, which usually isn't a home run friendly park, but it is today. Peterson facing Warren Morris. Will he go deep? He hits it to center field. That'll be extra bases. He's heading for 3rd, and Morris has a triple here with 2 outs in the 8th. To the 9th we go. 2 outs here. Maratz has come in to face Rosario. There's a strikeout, and the Tigers open up the offense, score 10 runs, and win game number 4 to even this series in 2. They have come out ready to play in this best of 7, and they mean business. Putting all records aside, they're giving the Mets all they can handle. Brandon Nemo was 3 for 3 for the losing side. Carlos Pena 3 for 4 for the Tigers. He had 3 runs scored. And Shane Halter 2 for 4. He had 3 RBIs as the Tigers were able to hit 4 home runs on the day. Robertson gets the win. Vargas the loss. And the Tigers even the series at 2 with 2 big innings, the 6th and the 7th. They get 13 hits, and they come roaring back after losing 2 in a row. And this series now, folks, is all even, and it is now a best of 3. Can the Tigers really do this? Can they upset the Mets? a 43-win team coming and playing as well as they're playing. You got to be impressed or maybe unimpressed by the lack of performance by the Mets, especially their pitching in that last game. So now New York will send once again Jacob deGrom to the mound, who had a rough game one. He'll face Jeremy Bonderman in a crucial game 5 before we head to New York. It is now up to the Tigers to try to defend their home field. Game 5 will determine the lot as we move forward now. So let's see what happens. Everything even, starting from scratch. It's a best of 3. Let's see if the Miracle Tigers can keep it going against the Mets. Jacob deGrom will have something to say about that. Let's move out to Comerica for the final game in Detroit. Game 5 of this series that is now all even. Rosario will foul out here to the first baseman, open up this ball game. To the 5th inning, we are scoreless in this game. Jay Bruce is the hitter. And Bruce will go to center field, so he'll get on base here. That one will drop in. Jay Bruce with a double here with nobody out in the 5th inning. To the 7th, however, we go, still scoreless. Bruce up again. Nate Cornejo is the pitcher, and Bruce this time on base again. It's another extra base hit for Jay Bruce. He gets another double here with 2 outs in the 7th inning. Scoreless game. So here comes Todd Frazier. And Frazier goes into the hole, but a great backhanded play in and out there. Beautiful play by the shortstop. We hit the 7th inning stretch, scoreless here at Comerica. To the bottom of the 7th, Dimitri Young, the hitter. And Dimitri Young deep to center field. Could it be? Yes! The Tigers take the lead. A solo home run for Young. And starting to believe now are these Tigers that they got what it takes. 1-0 to score. Here's Pena against deGrom. And Pena's going to make it 2-0 to the exact same spot. Home run. Goodbye. 2-0 Tigers. Comerica parked to their feet. Here's Ramon Santiago. The Tigers aren't done yet. Here's a fly ball. That's going to drop in there, roll all the way to the wall. More runs are going to score. It is 3-0. 4-0 to score. We move to the 8th inning. Cabrera now faces Rodney. This ball's lined to center field, so that'll be a base hit. That'll get the Mets on the board as a throw to the plate's going to be late. It is 4-1 with 2 outs. Top of the 9th now. 2 outs, 4-1 to score. Plawecki the hitter with a man on first base. Here's a pop-up. That'll be caught. And the Tigers have won game number 5 and take a 3-2 lead in this series. They win 2 out of 3 here at home and now lead it 3-2 as we mentioned. A 4-1 final score in a good pitching matchup with the runs all coming in 1 inning for the Tigers. Bonderman pitched very well, as did deGrom with 10 Ks, but Dimitri Young came through with a home run, as did Carlos Pena, all in that 7th inning, and Patterson gets the save for the Tigers. Rodney pitched well as well out of relief, and would you believe it, folks, it is 3-2 in favor now of the 2003 Tigers. They've gone and they've won 2 games in a row and really put the pressure on for a huge upset as the series now will move back to New York and Flushing to Citi Field. The Tigers take 2 out of 3 at home and now have a chance really to end this series and stun in an upset nobody could have predicted or saw coming. But it isn't over yet. We now have Game 6 on the horizon, and it looks like indeed Steve Sparks is going to make a recovery, and he'll make the start for the Tigers against Zach Wheeler, who pitched brilliantly in game number 2. But he better pitch well again, because right now everything on the line in New York as the Tigers try to close the door, and the Mets can only hope here to force a Game 7. So preparing now for the dramatics of Game 6. Can it be the Tigers? Let's find out here and see what happens as we go live to Citi Field for the 6th game of this best of 7. Zach Wheeler now facing Andres Torres as we start game number 6 back in Flushing, New York. The tune of Let's Go Mets can be heard as we got a strikeout here. And this game is underway. Another scoreless game to the 4th. We have Carlos Pena on second base with Bobby Higginson up with 2 outs. And this one's grounded to third, but a play should be made there, and it is. Frazier with the play, so we move bottom of the 5th. Plawecki, who's had a good series, is at the plate. And Plawecki goes deep to right field, and the Mets are on the board first. A home run for Plawecki. We mentioned he was having a good series, and he continues to do that. 1-0. To the 6th we go. Conforto, the hitter for New York, man on. And Conforto deep to right center to the wall. 3-0 Mets. Conforto with a 410-foot home run. And the Mets now up 3-0. They mean business here in Game 6. Chris Mears now facing Cespedes, who's come in to pinch hit. And Cespedes will single to left field. That'll score 1 run, maybe 2. It will. And it is 5-0 as Jonas Cespedes comes through it with his first big hit of the series. 5-0 the score, make it 7-0. The Mets continue to pour it on here. Long drive to left. It is a home run. Tim Peterson with a 3-run bomb. Another man you wouldn't think would produce here. He's come through with a big knock, and it's 10-0 here in game number 6. 11-zip as we move to the 9th. 2 outs. Brandon Idge up against Drew Smith as the Mets look to close the door. Ground ball to short. Play at second. That's it. The Mets emphatically come home and celebrate a Game 6 whooping here of the Tigers. 11-0. Really making a statement here and tying this series 3 games apiece. There was no doubt about this one. Zach Wheeler again pitching brilliantly. He's pitched so well in both of his starts. The game was scoreless until the middle innings when Sparks and the Tiger pitching was hammered. Steve Sparks pitched well until that 5th inning, and then the pen really fell apart behind him. Kevin Plawecki 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a home run, as well as Conforto and Peterson, who took a 3-run shot out in the 7th inning. And fans, this series is tied at 3. You got to tip your hat to both teams, especially the Tigers, who really have put up a fight here, and the dream is still alive. 1 game now to decide everything from Citi Field. Game number 7 coming up. Looking at the numbers, you can see here, just wondering how Conforto's hitting .318 and Plawecki with 3 homers and 6 RBIs, .286, as well as some of the Tiger hitters doing well like Warren Morris and Dimitri Young. But the numbers can all be put aside, fans, because it comes down to 1 ball game. Game number 7. We are tied 3 games apiece, and it's going to be Gary Knotts for the Tigers going up against Noah Syndergaard. As the game now, it's a single game for all the marbles to see if the Tigers really can pull the upset or if the Mets can build on their thrashing and blowout of Game 6. They looked a lot better But it's a brand new 9-inning contest now for all the marbles. Game number 7 coming up at Citi Field. That's at capacity. The Mets want to avoid the embarrassment of losing to the Tigers. Let's see what happens. One game for everything. Let's go live to Citi Field for Game 7. So here's the final game. Syndergaard starting it off against Andres Torres. 51 degrees here in New York. And there's Torres with the fly ball, which should be caught. And we are on their way here for game number 7. Top of the first, 1 on, 2 out. Carlos Pena at the plate. And Pena will drive this one into left center field. Let's see if the runner's able to score. He's heading to third. They're going to round it, wave him home, and he's going to score on a triple by Pena. And then there's 1-0 Tigers. They break up on top here against Syndergaard in the very first inning. To the bottom of the first, Brandon Nimmo facing Gary Knotts with 2 on. And this one's lined into the right field corner. That's going to get down and tie the game. The Mets come right back with the Nimmo extra base hit. Nimmo with the double. So runners second and third, still nobody out. Knotts in all kinds of trouble. Here's Cabrera. Cabrera goes deep to left field, to the wall. Could it be? Home run, Cabrera, 3-run shot in the very first inning, and the Mets have put a 4 spot on the Tigers here in the first. Fans here in Flushing are on their feet. The Mets with a great start. 5-1 to the third inning. Syndergaard with the lead now. Here's Dmitri Young. Dmitri Young will line this one. Could it be fair? It's just inside the foul pole, and Young has a home run. With a man on, cuts the lead 5-3 as the Tigers get right back in this game in the third inning. To the fifth we go. Jeff McNeil at the plate. McNeil goes on a liner deep to right. This is going to leave the park. 6-3 now. Mets. Another home run. Jeff McNeil goes deep. And the Mets are up by 3. To the 8th inning. Dmitri Young facing Seth Lugo as the Mets try to close this one out. 1 out. This one's going to be lined in the right. It's going to drop for a hit for Young. With 1 out, Jaime Walker, the hitter. Wilmer Flores at the plate, I should say. Walker, the pitcher, and here's a line drive to right. So Flores a hit here in the 8th inning. 3-run game. We've moved now to the 9th. Familia's come in to close things out. 2 outs, nobody on. And the final hope here for the Tigers is Ramon Santiago. Here's the pitch. Strike 3 call. They got him, and the Mets win the series. They celebrate here on their home field. They win both Game 6 and Game 7. Game number 7, they win 6-3, doubling up the Tigers and breaking their hearts in the process. The Mets survive and win this series in 7. McNeil with the home run in this one. Brandon Nimmo, the big blow. 2 for 3, 2 RBIs for him. He hit one in the very first inning, or I should say Cabrera hit the home run in the first inning. That was the big blow. Nimmo going deep a little bit later, and Syndergaard, just when his team needed him the most, pitches extremely well, gets the win, strikes out only 1, but goes 6 innings. Knotts could not get the performance his team needed. He takes the loss, and Familia caps a good series with his second save. McNeil, the MVP, with 3 runs scored in this final game. It was the Mets who had their backs against the wall after game number 5 in Detroit. They come home and they win both home games to put away the Tigers. Looking at the numbers, Dmitri Young, a good series for Detroit, 333 with 4 RBIs. Shane Halter, 273. He drove in 5 with 2 home runs. And we also have Carlos Pena with 2 home runs in this ball game, or in this series, I should say. A good performance for him. Some of the other names there, Brandon Inge at 250, Ramon Santiago 208, and Craig Monroe and Andres Torres struggled as you go down the list of hitters for the Tigers. Going from there, you can see Sparks took a loss but pitched well. Rodney, you can see there, in his very limited appearances, he did not allow a run. Jeremy Bonderman, a 3 ERA, 11 strikeouts in his 12 innings of work. Going from there, some tough performances. Cornejo with an ERA in the 7s. Walker at 9.82. And Gary Knotts, 2 losses and an ERA at 12. Part of the problems that this Tiger team had pitching the baseball. Looking at the Mets hitting, you can see here Peterson had a big home run in the Game 6 win. Brandon Nimmo, a very good series, 435 for him. Homer and 5 RBIs. Conforto, 4 RBIs and a 346 average. Cespedes in only 3 at-bats. He drove in 2. Jay Bruce was at 308. And William Flores, 286, while Plawecki had 3 home runs and 6 RBIs, hitting 250. Cabrera with 2 home runs and 9 RBIs, a big 9 runs driven in by him. McNeil stepped it up a little bit, and Todd Frazier had 2 home runs, even though he had 3 hits total in the series. Zach Wheeler, an outstanding performance for Wheeler. He went 2-0, 13 innings pitched, 21 strikeouts. He is my MVP for the series. We also had Sewald and Peterson pitching well. Matt Harvey limited work. Familia with 2 saves. Syndergaard had a 3.27 and 11 innings of work. He got 2 wins. So all the wins, I should say, came from Wheeler and Syndergaard. DeGrom, a 476, not the best series for him. And some of the other names, Steven Matz really struggled. Drew Smith and Jason Vargas had some tough series. And really, it was exciting. It did go the distance, and you have to give some credit to the 2003 Tigers. They fought all the way to the end, thought maybe they had a chance, but just didn't have enough to put the Mets away on the road. Even after they won the opener and actually did very well in their home park, it just wasn't meant to be. For the Mets, they'll take it. Obviously some concern. They struggled a little bit against such a weak team, but they win in the end, and that's all that really matters. Series 174 is a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it. Always fun to see a 7-game series, especially when one of the combatants is such an unheralded team like the 2003 Tigers are. But Mets fans, you did survive. So in the end, it's the 2018 New York Mets that defeat the 2003 Detroit Tigers 4-3. Out of the Park Baseball 21. Our game engine, we're glad you were part of it. This was a good one, a fun best-of-7 game series. That goes to the Mets. So we'll be right back with you here shortly for Series 175. It was good to have you. Hope you enjoyed it. So long, everybody.